Hello everybody, and thank you for tuning into this video. Last Wednesday, the full schedule for the 2024 through 25 NFL season dropped. Today, I preview the best matchup from each week from weeks 1 through 17. And now I remind you before we begin to please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and to click the bell icon to be notified of future videos. Let's get started. We begin week 1 with Ravens at Chiefs. In the kickoff game, a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game and a meeting between two top AFC contenders. At the beginning of this game, the Chiefs will hang their third Super Bowl banner in 5 years, and they will begin their quest to become the first NFL team ever to win the Super Bowl in 3 consecutive seasons, or in other words, three-peat. The Ravens, on the other hand, will look to avenge that really crushing loss in the AFC Championship game last year. What appeared to be a battered and bruised, weakened Chiefs team came into their house and stole their souls. Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes are two of the top 3 quarterbacks in the game. Patrick Mahomes has had great success against the Ravens. Lamar Jackson has had little success against the Chiefs, so that will be something to keep an eye on in this matchup. We'll stick with the Chiefs for week 2. Bengals at Chiefs in CBS's lead national 425 matchup. This is another meeting between two top AFC contenders and also a rematch of the AFC Championship game 2 years ago and 3 years ago. I know they met last year, but Joe Burrow missed that game with an injury, so that doesn't really count. This is the first meeting, hopefully, between Burrow and Mahomes since the 2022 AFC Championship game. Every time Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes have met, the game has been decided by 3 points and no more than 3 points. Will this game be decided by 3 points again? I don't see why not. Patrick Mahomes is the second best quarterback to ever play in the NFL. However, Lou Anarumo and this Bengals defense has found ways to slow him down, and it will be interesting to see if they can find ways to slow him down again in this game. Go back over to the Ravens, week 3, America's Game of the Week on Fox, Ravens at Cowboys. These two teams have been staples in the playoffs in their respective conferences, and I expect both of these teams to be in the playoffs again this year. This is a matchup between two quarterbacks, Dak Prescott and Lamar Jackson, who have had major success in the regular season but mighty struggles in the postseason. Lamar Jackson in his career has been almost unbeatable against the NFC because there is no quarterback in the NFL that plays like him, and it'll be interesting to see if the Cowboys can find a way to contain him. Hey, look at that, I have the Ravens again. Week 4, Bills at Ravens on Sunday Night Football. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, I believe, are two of the top 3 quarterbacks in the game. We saw this matchup in the divisional round 4 years ago and 2 years ago in the regular season. Both of those were won by Josh Allen's Bills. They were the number 1 and number 2 seeds in last year's playoffs. I was really hoping to see this as the AFC Championship game, but no, the Chiefs had other ideas. This Ravens defense is tough for anyone to go up against. And this Bills defense, Lamar Jackson has not had very much success against the Bills defense. However, he has not faced the Bills defense yet in the Todd Monken offense, so that will be an interesting dynamic to watch. Week 5, Bills at Texans, weirdly stuffed into CBS's regional 1 o'clock window, but I digress. Classic revenge game. Stefon Diggs versus his former team, who just traded him this offseason. The Bills have been a fixture in the AFC playoffs over the past 5 years, and the Texans will look to take major strides in 2024 after greatly surpassing expectations in 2023. I think it'll certainly be interesting to watch Stefon Diggs against his former team, and if we see these two meet in the playoffs again, I would not be surprised, and that would provide for some very juicy storylines. Week 6, Lions at Cowboys, a rematch of last year's regular season meeting. Now, why am I calling it a rematch of last year's regular season meeting? Doesn't seem all that special. Well, if you remember, last year in Week 17, on Monday Night Football, weirdly on a Saturday night, the game came down to the very end. The Lions scored the touchdown, decided to go for 2. They got the 2-point conversion, but it was weirdly called back. The Lions ended up losing the game. That only propelled the Lions to go to the NFC Championship game for the first time in 3 decades. I thought for sure we would see this matchup in the postseason last year, but of course the Cowboys did cowboy things against the Packers. Dallas loves playing at home. They love their dome. However, playing in a dome is the opposite of uncharted waters for Jared Goff and the Lions. I think it'll be great to watch Dak and Jared Goff sling it in this one, and if we see these two teams meet in the postseason this coming year, I would not be surprised in the slightest. Week 7, yes, of course, the rematch of Super Bowl 58 and also a rematch of Super Bowl 54, Chiefs at 49ers. Yes, these two teams have met in the Super Bowl twice in the last 5 years, and in both games, the Chiefs overcame a 10-point deficit to win. The Chiefs and 49ers have been two of the most successful teams in the NFL over the past 5 years, and it's not hard to see why. They're well-constructed teams, they're very well coached, they've drafted well. I know Patrick Mahomes in his career is 4-0 against the 49ers. However, I don't know how much longer he'll remain undefeated. Maybe after this year he's no longer undefeated against the 49ers. I'm looking forward to seeing it unfold. Week 8, CBS's lead national 425 game, Eagles at Bengals. A matchup that, before last year, I thought we would see in Super Bowl 58. Then, of course, Joe Burrow got hurt. The Eagles, although they made the playoffs, I don't know what the hell happened to them at the end of last season, but it's a new year. It wasn't that long ago that Jalen Hurts was almost universally considered a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Of course, his stock dropped way down after last year. However, if you watched the video I uploaded last week, when I put every starting quarterback into a tier list, I said that Jalen Hurts could move back up to elite this year, depending on how he performs. We've never seen the quarterback matchup of Joe Burrow versus Jalen Hurts, and I'm very excited to see it. And by the way, both of these teams have incredible talent at wide receiver. Week 9, we have our first divisional matchup, and a divisional matchup between two very young teams on the rise. Lions at Packers in Fox's America's Game of the Week. The Lions, as I previously mentioned, went to their first NFC Championship game in 3 decades and will certainly look to build on that this year. Green Bay, on the other side, completely surpassed expectations by sneaking into the playoffs at 9-8 and then winning in the wildcard round and going to the wire with the almighty 49ers in the divisional round. They will also look to take major strides this year. I believe both of these teams will be in the postseason from the NFC North, and I may or may not pick them to meet in the NFC Championship game. Week 10 on Sunday Night Football, Lions at Texans. I talked about the Lions, I talked about the Texans, very similar stories. Two teams who well surpassed expectations last year, and two teams who will look to take major strides in 2024. If these two teams meet in the Super Bowl, I would not be shocked at all. Week 11, a playoff matchup that we've seen in 3 of the last 4 years. Chiefs at Bills in CBS's lead national 425 game. These two teams have met 7 times in the last 4 years. That's almost twice per year, and they don't even play in the same division. These two have produced some of the best playoff games we've seen in the recent years. Of course, the divisional round last year was great, and of course, the 13-second game from 3 years ago was maybe the greatest NFL game I've ever seen. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen are 2 of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL today, and every time they match up, you know it's going to be a great one. Another rematch from last year's divisional round, 49ers at Packers in Fox's America's Game of the Week in Week 12. The 49ers were the number 1 seed in the NFC last year. They've been in the NFC Championship game in 3 straight years, and it looks like they will be awesome once again this year. On the other side, the Packers, as a 10-point underdog in the divisional round last year, went into San Francisco and took this 49ers team to the wire. I think the Packers will be even better this year, and if we see these two meet in the postseason again, I would not be shocked at all. Week 13, Sunday Night Football, 49ers at Bills. Man, how I wish we could have seen this matchup in the Super Bowl last year, but, you don't always get what you want. These two teams have been staples in the playoffs in their respective conferences, and I expect them to both be in the playoffs again. One interesting dynamic is that in this game, Josh Allen will be facing off against the team he rooted for as a child, as he grew up in Fireball, California. Week 14, we have our first Monday night game on this list, Bengals at Cowboys. We saw these two teams meet 2 years ago. However, Dak Prescott missed that game due to an injury, so Cooper Rush started in his place and actually led a game-winning drive in a game that the Cowboys won 20-17. Hopefully Burrow and Prescott are both healthy for this game, and if they are, I think this game is going to be a treat. Week 15, we have the Lake Erie Bowl, if you want to call it that. CBS's lead national 425 game, Bills at Lions. Remember when we saw these two teams meet on Thanksgiving 2 years ago in a game the Bills won on a last-second field goal 28-25? Well, that was when the Lions' ascension was first beginning. They had won 3 straight games going into that after starting 1-6, and from there, their franchise just took off. I'm looking forward to seeing these two meet again, especially after the Lions have taken off. Week 16, Texans at Chiefs. Possible AFC Championship game preview? Certainly. I'm very excited to see CJ Stroud go up against Patrick Mahomes for the first time. Before the schedule was released, I thought this would be the kickoff game instead of Ravens-Chiefs. The Texans, who, as I said, will look to make major strides in 2024, well, this game will probably be their measuring stick going into the postseason. Week 17, Monday Night Football, Lions at 49ers, a rematch of last year's NFC Championship game. If you don't remember, the Lions were dominating that game, leading by 17 at halftime, and just fell apart. They will certainly be looking to avenge that loss in this matchup. These teams will both be top contenders within the NFC once again. They will both be in the playoffs, and I certainly wouldn't be shocked to see them meet in the playoffs or even in the NFC Championship game again. And that is the best matchup of each week for weeks 1 through 17 of the 2024 through 25 NFL season. I remind you to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and to click the bell icon to be notified of future videos. Also, make sure to leave a comment and tell me how wrong I am. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you real soon.